Oh, folks, good morning and
Hey.
welcome. It is, what? July 13th. It's not a Friday, so this is a good sign. We're on the right side of the week. Well, for some. Welcome to Monday morning. It's going to be a warm day here in Ottawa, so just bear that in mind and either have your water or have your AC or both. I'm going to share a screen. It's the Phoenix Business Exchange website. If you're watching from the outside, you want to come on in. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Go to pbx.ca is the website, and here we go. Member of the week, Kelly. Kelly, you are front and center. And if you don't know what Kelly does yet, Kelly will tell us in a little bit. But you know what? Kelly has an e-card right here, and there is Kelly's YouTube. And you know what? The cool thing is she'll help move your house. Kind of. Let her explain that. Right. So she's not a moving company. It's a tease to figure that one out. To join us here today, Monday morning, 8 to 9 Eastern, just click here. It'll take you in through Zoom. We meet every Monday morning, 8 to 9 Eastern, except for those weeks where there's a stat on the Monday. Wednesday morning, we also meet 8 to 9, the East End group, and then the South End group meets 8 to 9 also. And on July 28th, we are having an after hours meeting at 7 p.m. Penny Lee is the host, and it's about staying accountable to your goals. Upcoming member events, click here, and you will find all kinds of neat stuff that's going on out there from different Phoenix members. Maybe like the golf tournament on August 14th. Yeah, that's a ticket. Um, Canada Growth Network meets at 1 p.m. today, Eastern Standard Time. Michael Yasny is the host, or not the host, he's the guest speaking. And when banks say no, so he helps help work through businesses. East Trade Winds meets 8 to 9 Eastern every week. And by the way, Canada Growth does not meet on holiday Mondays, so just like it's global. East Trade Winds, come on in, 8 to 9 Eastern, free to attend. Both those two events are free. Zoom and Bell's Corners group, and on the July 20th, we're meeting at 7:30. And Kara Lee is going to be the presenter for next week. I suspect she's going to do it online. Uh, I'm hazarding a guess. However, that said, she might do it in person. I don't know. Let's play it by ear. However, that said, come on in. We're at 1745 Courtwood. It's a great place to visit and grab breakfast, which is kind of interesting considering it's a Canada Food Cupboard talking that day. So, yeah, so we'll be well fed. QR director film members, you hear somebody talking today and you go, I want to know more about that person. Click this and then drill into the cyber ether. Want to join us? Want to become a member? Click here. And why would you want to become a member? Well, it's community. We share information. We help promote your business. It's a marketing budget what you're spending here, right? And you're getting community and you're getting other cross benefits. You're getting to know people. So it's not a matter of mystery meat around the corner. We actually had a meat guy, and it was never mystery meat. It was always good. And so sad Dave retired from that business. E-cards, 4,214 hits on the e-cards. Well, what's an e-card? Well, that's the link that I showed you earlier where you saw Kelly's name being mentioned, and you click that little red button. Well, that leads right to her e-card. All right, and different ways to connect with any of us in the Phoenix Business Exchange Network group, any video content. We've done over $5 million worth of business between members since 2016. Year-to-date referrals just between members is $33,000. All right, since January 9th. And just a quick reminder, send your stats to Tony. This is kind of important. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to change the pace. I'm going to swing the mic over to Mr. Tony Ginnis. Tony, over to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Bernie. Yeah, you were talking. Somebody was talking about saying no. Some people have a hard time saying no. Well, banks have no problem saying no sometimes. So, on the weekend, I had the pleasure of going to a motorcycle meet on Saturday. It was to raise money for a child in Toronto who had leukemia, and it raised fund mostly for the family so that they could be with him and so on. And it was really great being able to talk to some of these people. And there was one biker that was traveling through the States. He ended up in Pennsylvania on his way through, and he stopped off at a gas station. And he says, yeah, there was pretty busy. People buying ice and people picking up, of course, gas and other groceries. Like it was pretty packed going in. And after he bought his gas, he's in line and he eventually gets to the cash and he pays for his gas. And then the teller says, or the clerk says, are you going to this one town? Now it's about 6 hours away from where this gas station was, and actually he was heading towards California. He says, and he says, actually, I think we are passing this particular town that the guy mentioned, 6 hours away. And he says, could you drop off something? That's never a good introduction to drop off a package or something. But the guy says, yeah, this guy was here about 6 hours ago, and he bought gas, and he left everything on the counter, his wallet, his money, his passport, like everything, absolutely everything. And he ended up 6 hours away wanting to do something, and he couldn't find anything. So he calls up the gas station where he was 6 hours previous, and he says, "Yep, it's sitting on the counter. It's right here." He says, "I'm screwed. I'm totally screwed." So he says, "Is there any possibility, if you're passing by this town, if you would be so kind as to drop it off for this gentleman since you're passing through anyway?" He says, "Absolutely, no problem. I'll do that." And he says, "Can I ask you a question?" He says, "Why did you ask me? I mean, there's like got to be 50 people coming in here." He says, "I noticed your Canadian flag on your vest, and I know that if I asked you, it would get there." He says Canadians are like that. He says if they say they're going to drop something off, they absolutely will. And that gave me sort of a sense of pride in being Canadian. Like we have international recognition for this, and this is at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. Like in somewhere in Pennsylvania, and when this guy had that Canadian flag on his vest, he says, "Yeah, it'll get there. If I give it to anybody else, who knows where it's going to go?" He says, "There's no trust." Like he says, even in my own, and I live in the States, and I don't trust my own neighbors. He says, but a Canadian, he says, you could trust them. If they say they're going to do something, they will. And the wallet got there, and he checked it. Not a dollar was missing. Everything was there, and it's like, the old joke where someone says, "I lost a roll of $100 bills, and it's got an elastic around it." Well, I found the elastic. So I'm big, like when we look at what people are going through, it's amazing that when Canadians are internationally recognized as if you are looking for honesty and integrity, we absolutely have it. Even now, even whatever they're doing with our country. But I just wanted to mention that yeah, we're living in a country that has international recognition. So anything that we are doing, people can usually trust. We have a great sense of humor, but we are always at that respectful stage, and it shows that many people in this country are raised so that they can instill this quality in what other people are seeing. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all Canadians that are going through and thinking that who are we? We're just a country, but we're a good country. We have good values, and most of the people, really the vast majority, is only a small percentage that don't do this, but the vast majority, they're good people. Simple as that. So I wanted to mention that and give a shout out to all Canadians. So thank you very much, everybody. Back to you, Bernie.
Tony, thank you so much. I've just already pumped in the LinkedIn profile, so put your content there. Put a comment in what's happening, etc. And first quick promo, it's the golf tournament. There we go. St. Louis Bar and Grill, Innovation Drive, connect, get a ticket, be a sponsor, all good stuff. So the fickle finger of fate's going to sweep the dial here, and I'm going to start off with Kelly, and then I will go to Sam, then Kara Lee. Go ahead, Kelly.
Well, thank you for all of that, Tony. That was really it was really comforting. It was I've traveled a lot internationally, just as a quick aside, and I've known that to be true. And I've also understood the lack of perspective when it comes to our own identity. And I'm going to actually liaise that into my line of work because a lot of people don't know, they don't have a good sense of their own identity when it comes to the value of their home that they're selling or leasing. They also don't have a sense of identity when it comes to their purchasing power when they're buying. So my name is Kelly Harrigan from Kelly Harrigan Real Estate. And I'm your local real estate agent. I service the Ottawa as well as the Toronto areas, and I'm with Keller Williams Realty Centers. So, real estate has become much more complex. Why do you need an agent? This is something I've very recently seen on a forum. Why do I need an agent? They just take your money. This I will save for my talk in a couple of weeks. However, given that real estate is one of your highest value purchases or sales for most average people's lives, investors aside, you really do need someone to help you navigate the process. It is much more complex. It's not just about the market, it's also navigating major emotions. Also navigating multifacets such as financing, such as laws, timing, rhythm. These things may not sound like they're important, but trust me, they can make or break a deal. If a deposit doesn't come in within a certain threshold, you need an agent to help you navigate that and prepare the steps ahead of time. You need an agent to guide you through the multiple offers. What do you do? Which one looks best? This one seems to be the highest. Is it really the best offer? So those are just two very quick off the top of my head examples of why you absolutely need a real estate agent. Even for your next lease, I've just helped a client who was not getting through to the landlord. He called me one phone call later. I helped navigate this process with him. He's putting in his deposit today. He takes occupancy August 1st. So call me if you need any assistance buying, leasing, selling, even just for advice, recommendations, or a game plan. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you. Give me a call. I'm serving Ottawa 613-416-3743 or Toronto 416-274-2532. Big secret, you can contact me at any number and I'll respond really quickly. That's it for now.
Kelly, thank you so much. Sam, and then Kara Lee. And oh yeah, before I fire off Sam, a power hour. Michael Yasny, details in the chat. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. There's my contact information in the chat. Sam Sturz, connectedcars.ca. Let's see here. Dash cameras are my main thing. If you haven't noticed, maybe you've maybe heard on social media, but on the news, more and more police are asking for dash cam video when it comes to accidents. Very valuable piece of information, unbiased video of what actually transpired, no matter what someone says. Usually the guilty ones are the first one to say it was somebody else. But anyway, the dash camera does not care who's at fault. It will show the video. So I highly recommend you get something like this because sooner or later you're going to be in an accident and it may be not your fault, but the other person is going to point the finger at you. So get a dash camera, make sure you have something like this in your vehicle to protect yourself against, you know, very expensive repairs to someone else's vehicle that are drive up your insurance. Anyway, besides that, let's see here. I also do minor repairs, oil changes, brake jobs. And speaking of brake jobs, Eric came to see me just a couple days ago. He actually, the background, he complained about brake pulsing steering wheel about, what was it, maybe 6 months ago. I took his car for a drive, didn't notice anything, told him so. But this time I drove it for, I think it was maybe 3 blocks, and sure enough, there was shaking in the steering wheel. Uh, Put the car up on the hoist, changed the rotors and the pads. Sure enough, the rotors in the front, I think it was the passenger side, was the culprit. And my goal today is to get back the cost of those rotors and pads for Eric. So that's my goal today. Eric, I'm hoping that I get back all the money you spent when it came to those parts. And I looked it up, and it was 2 years ago when I did that front brake job for you. So hopefully that'll show that I'm willing to go a little extra for my clients. Anyway, BAMS wise, Wendy gave me a referral. I'm going to be doing a car cleaning for a friend of hers tomorrow, actually. Let's see here. Oh, yes, and we met last Thursday. It was Tony, Bernie, and Kelly and I at the local Heroes. And I still, those ribs, those beef ribs were excellent. I can't get over how well I like those. Maybe it was because I just came from a squash game and I was really, really hungry, but they were great. And I got back to watch my son's lacrosse team win their game in the third period. So that kind of worked out. I was in good standing with the wife. Let's see here. Besides that, this Thursday, Susan Ebbs contacted me yesterday, and I'm going to be doing oil change on her vehicle this Thursday. So that's it for me, Sam Sturris, ConnectedCars.ca, today's mobile electronics without the cost of a vehicle, and a lot more.
Sam, thank you so much. And the next quick prompt, there we go. It's out there, the Phoenix meeting on the 20th, and details are in the chat. Carol Lee, and then we will swing over to Shane, who just joined us, and then Jacqueline. Go ahead, Carol Lee.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone's having a great Monday so far. I'm hoping that I can share my screen really quickly just to show you a couple of videos, or pardon me, a couple of pictures. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Not always the fastest. How does that work? Has everyone seen the picture there?
Loading. There you go. You're up.
There we go. Remember last week I told you some great news that we're getting a new van, a new to us van from Purolator. So we were pretty excited last week. We picked up this van midweek. There's us out at Purolator doing the key exchange. I'll just show you a few pictures. One of our staff testing it out. This is the van back at the Canada Food Cupboard. You'll see Purolator logos are all have been removed, and Purolator are actually going to help us get our decals put on that. So that's what's going to be happening this week. So we were pretty excited. One of our drivers, everybody kind of looking at the van. And in addition to donating the van, they also donated about 1,500 pounds of food through their Tackle Hunger program. So that was a pretty exciting donation for us. So we're going to put that van to good use. And so that was pretty exciting. So good things are coming in Canada. Now we've got 2 vans to serve our community. So we'll be able to do more pickups, do more distribution. And we're hoping with this new vehicle, we're going to be able to do some pop-up events going out in the community when we have surplus, and possibly partnering with some of our local churches and having pop-up events in parking lots and things like that, just to be able to get more fresh produce out to our community and more of those important donations and services that our community needs. So thank you to Purolator for that. One note, this week is an exciting week for us because we're celebrating our 2nd anniversary at this new location. So if you haven't followed us on social media, please do, because we're going to have lots of fun posts this week, just highlighting what we've been up to over the past 2 years at our location here on Tarrant Road. And if you haven't stopped by yet, I know Tony's been by a few times, please drop by if you're ever up in this part of Canada. Come in, we'll give you a tour, and we'll show you all the great work that we do. So thanks again for having me a part of this group, and don't forget to support your local food bank. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, Shane, we'll come back to you, and Jacqueline, go ahead. Oh, you know what? Before Jacqueline fires off, East Trade wins. Musanga, I'm gonna have a hard time with his name tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting. Musanga Mwaka, manufacturing coach. He's doing the chat tomorrow at East Trade wins. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Good morning, everyone. And I know you're begging me to say, take a big, beautiful breath as you inhale through the nose, lift the shoulders, take them back, release them down, extend the hands, and understand we are all here to serve each other. We are all here because we have the opportunity to do so. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My company, the big company, is Dominion Lending Centers, and many of the branches are celebrating 20 years. I will say to you that A&P, our Canadian A&P, is celebrating 50 years. So if you haven't been, they've got lots of really groovy things. in their stores. And I say that because it's the brand that we all know. A&W, I take that A&P, that's back in the day. A&W truly has been around to serve us. I don't know if you like your root beers. I know I do. We do things because we trust the experiences that we'd have. These franchises have requirements to stay. When I take care of clients with their mortgages, I have requirements so that not only do they get what they need, but they stay the course. When you're looking for not just root beer, when you're looking for strategies for your mortgage money, you know you need to inhale, lift your shoulders, take them back, and call your mortgage honey.
Any BAMs or referrals?
Next week's coming. And Sam, I'm coming to see you.
Thank you. The next quick prompt or promo is it's for men stuck in the rules and roles. And gentleman's out of Scotland, Willie Nickel. It's a free event, and it's follow it through the LinkedIn path. Shane, are you available, sir? And we'll swing back to Shane in a second, and I'll swing over to Tony and then come back to Shane. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Well, it's been a very busy week for sure. I'm a medium clairvoyant. I'm a tuning fork master, and I really enjoy teaching. That's what I did last week, where we got together and I showed over a 6-hour period how to use 3 tuning forks to be able to bring in that self-harmony on a daily basis. It clears energy. You can clear your furniture. Anything that you buy from other people secondhand has their essence of their energy in it. And if it's a person that is well-to-do, they're wealthy, you'll carry that same energy. So there's nothing to clear. It's usually when it says a lower energy that you want to clear that. So there are some things like upholstery and things like that that you can clear, but anything that has coils in it and other things, it's much harder to do that. So it's always good to be aware that anything that you have around you should be something that has your energy or that is conducive to whatever it is that you want. So among those things and many, many others, we talked about what sound, vibration, health, and frequency, what that all has to do with our daily lives. And we take it for granted. Most people don't realize that some of this stuff is very powerful. And when one thing happens after another, then after another, after another, it's not just a bad day. It's a frequency that's following you. And so there's ways to clear that. There's ways to make it so that you can do a Control-Alt-Delete to totally turn around your day. But as things get bad to worse, and we just sort of acknowledge, yeah, I had a pretty bad day, but nothing was done to it, so the momentum just keeps going. So it's something totally correctable, and we showed these people how to do that. So if you know of anybody that's going through a difficult time, I'm now working more with people that have PTSD, that have an area of stress in their work where they have to take stress leaves. Some of these people have to take 4 to 6 months off just to sort of recondition or, try to unplug a little bit. And I've got right now my second company that when they have that situation come up, some of these people, the company absolutely needs. And so having them go on a stress leave for 6 months is not the best. So they'll send them to me as a last resort. And after about 2 sessions, they're back to work. So it's a massive change, and we're looking at health in a different way through frequency. So if you know of somebody who's going through a really difficult time, PTSD, whether it's a veteran or anyone, have them call me. Tony Jennings from Higher Self. We are here to raise your spirits. And some of the we had a nice meeting with Sam and Kelly and Bernie last week at our get together. That was wonderful. Thank you, Kelly, for coming at the last minute. That is so good. You are such an inspiration to just a good attitude in general. More business with Susan McGarry. She's got this immune booster that I'm going to go see and have to go with my motorcycle to pick it up. So it's one of the. She lives way out in Burnstown, so thank God for that. Ongoing business with Josh, and then Eric Senego as per usual. And I can't wait to be ready to buy a house, and I've got Kelly lined up for that. So looking forward to getting that go ahead. So Kelly, we'll let you know as soon as we see that green light. Okay. Other than that, we have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Okay. Back to you, Bernie.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. This one is a tip. If you're using the microphone a lot and you're on Windows 11, odds are in favor of that. This one is from One Stone Creative. Megan Doherty, she deals with podcasts, etc. But it's a setting on your, it's a free information. It's a setting that's on your computer to adjust. And we're going to swing the mic over to Mr. Or Dr. Shane Bayless. Shane, hey, what up, man?
Hi, it's chaotic first day of camp today. Hey, so hello, boys.
Hello.
Anyways, with the chaos, your body obviously needs direction too. So we don't have chaotic, body signals, right? So everyone always talks about, stretching and stuff like that. Now, stretching is good, but wouldn't it be better to be stretching and contracting, which gives you strength? I sometimes talk about mobility because mobility is technically strength and flexibility. And a lot of people talk about mobility just as flexibility, and that's not true. Hey, quiet. Anyways, all when you're doing that, when you're going to the end ranges, just add a little strength to that. So what that means is, like, if I'm doing a forearm kind of cross and I'm pushing on my elbow, you're pushing it across. So that's a good stretch. But push against where you're trying to stretch at that end range, which means you're getting that end range, which is the stretch that you're looking for, and you're adding strength to that. So that's a really good thing, especially if you get your arm in that position, because most people don't lift weights at their end ranges. When you're doing the bicep curl, you're always staying into here. You're not going all the way down so the arm is actually extended. And if you're not extending the arm, you're not getting the full muscle strength, and then you have weaknesses in the muscle. So I always use it in football. When the guy's got a tackle, it gets by him, and he reaches out for him, he's got no strength at the end. He's got to be able to pull him with that strength, which helps with the joints and the tendons and the ligaments. It helps prevent plantar fasciitis. It helps prevent golfers and tennis elbows, because that's where the tendon is attached to. If they're strong, they can handle a lot of load, those typing things, repetitive injury, a lot better than anything else. So when you're doing stretching, go to those loads at the end and add a little bit strength to it. So push against it, push against the floor, whatever you're doing around that part, it's going to help with strength. It's going to help you keep those joints longer and just help you overall in all performances of your life, so you can live a long and functional life, right, guys? We want to be able to move when we're 96 years old. We don't want to be the one stuck in the wheelchair, and get our minds going. All right. I'm Dr. Shane Bayless, ProAction Health and Performance. Guys, for all your hearts and pains, let us know. We see results, so should you. Take care, guys.
Shane, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and appreciate saying hi to the boys, the lads. Next quick promo. It's Robin Ayub. He's out of Toronto. He has a if AI feels like noise, he has a free session. You can come on in and have a gander at it, and to help work you through it. For myself, Creative Insight, I got the Knack for Business podcast that's out there, doing really well in that space. Lots of content. The blog.knackforbusiness.com has current content that's out, being released almost daily. Working with the free Profit 10 snapshot, and that's it's a focus. Can you actually take 30 days away from your business and walk away? And what's holding you back? So these are yes, no questions, 5 minutes, and free to take. And I'm going to stop there, because you know what? The ever knowledgeable, the ever present, the ever wise Eric Senego is up next. Over to you, Eric.
Thank you, Bernie. Eric Sonego from Cote & Associates Professional Corporation. We have we're located in 8 offices across Canada. We have three offices in the U.S. And last Thursday, I was stumped I was stumped with the idea of, what am I going to tell you? And then I got a call from somebody that made that answer self-evident. So what I'm going to tell you today, you might not like to hear, but but it's the world as we know it today. Be careful with CRA. CRA employs people who do not know the Tax Act and has computers to help them. When someone who doesn't know the Tax Act checks something against a computer, they envision the worst, or they don't know what the computer is saying. That leads me to discuss who should be doing their taxes and who shouldn't. So, if you have a reportable income that is slipped oriented, in other words, you have a T4, you have a T4A, you have a T3, you have a T5. If you have all of that kind of stuff, you can do your own taxes. Why can you do your own taxes? That's because the people who give you those slips have also filed them with CRA, who has computerized the results. So when you send your taxes in, they match them. So as long as you have the same T4 slip that the Canada Food Cupboard gave you, it's no problem. Sometimes there's a problem that what the employer sends is not the same thing that they give the employee, but that is solvable. But the people who should not do their own taxes are the people who make money without telling the government during the year. That's people who run businesses, people who have commission income, people who sell homes, people who do all that kind of stuff, and who are not incorporated. If you're incorporated, you are forced to talk to the government more often and more officially. But if you're not incorporated, you just follow in like a happy moron the whole year, and then at the end of the year, you tabulate all your income and so on, and you send it to the government. They say to the government, "See, I sold, I don't know, 15 houses. I made $100,000, and by the way, I made no money." Or what prompted this discussion today, I have rental income, I am a civil servant, I have rental income, and I made no money. In fact, I lost money, so you have to return to refund me the taxes I paid. That is a plan to get audited. And the audit will come with a 9-page letter. And they will want to ask, the first thing they assume is that you're living in the house that you're renting. And that you made a mistake in the address, and they should be the same address as your address. So that's, having to send all kinds of official information that says that house is located somewhere else. That's one page of information that they need to know. Why do they need to know that? Because they're stupid. I don't have any word to say it. It's because they can see the postal code in page 1 and the postal code in the rental income are not the same. So rather than asking the client, why is there a difference, they assume that the client made a mistake in the postal code of the rental income and the street name. So am I being nasty with them? No, well, it's not that I don't think they're smart. They rely too much on our computer who gives these kinds of warnings. Okay, let's take Tony. Let's say Tony has rental income. He rents a house in Kempville. So he sends his taxes in, and the computer, rather than saying, check it, the computer will say, the taxpayer has rental income in another location than he lives at. And we don't have any proof of that. So that then a human being takes that answer and translate it into the 1-page letter saying to you, where are you renting this house? Give me the deed, give me this, give me that. Some things that you might not have as a house owner, that maybe at your lawyers, maybe at your mortgage broker. All of that kind of stuff You need to get to them just to prove that you have a house at another location than you're living at. Then, the other problem that we came across, the one that came in Friday after I was stumped to say what I was going to tell you, is people who are smart and do their own taxes. And the tax programs that we have as accountants and the tax programs that you have as individual, I know because, some of my staff use those tax programs to do their own taxes, make a lot of mistakes. And because of that, you should never have your taxes done with a computer program if they're complicated. You should go to an accountant or someone qualified to do your taxes, because those programs make mistakes. And Intuit is facing a class action suit right now because of the mistakes they made in 2024 and 2025 on reportable stuff. So if you use a tax program that you buy at Staples, have your taxes reviewed by someone qualified. And I'm saying people who have other income, not people who have T4 income, or a retirement income and things that they already have on you there. So the other thing that happens with CRA is that they give slack to the banks and not to the taxpayer. Up until 2025, that ended. For years, the banks were sending your T3s and T5s after February 28th. So when we sent your taxes to the government, they sat there until the bank sent their taxes, or they would tell you that they don't have, you have to prove that you made that interest or that you had that capital gains loss or that kind of attitude. So in 2025, at the beginning of 2025, the government said to the financial sector of Canada, if you send these slips late, it's going to cost you $100,000 a day. And lo and behold, everybody sent them before February 28th. And that's why we don't have any late stragglers in 2025. That's why the slips are on time, with the exception of financial institutions in the US who, think of us as an afterthought and send them whatever time they want. But I don't have that many clients that depend on that, and they report that as Canadian income anyway. So we send something to verify that. Now, what is the problem with how CRA interprets the business income or rental income or capital gains? Let's say capital gains. In a perfect world, we don't have to prove how much you paid for your house or for your building. We have to prove how much you made at the end. My arguments in the last year is on the costing and what you paid for. Why? Because we have people in their 20s not believing that a house costs $450,000 in 1997. And now you have to send proof that you spent $450,000 on the house. And a lot of us don't have that proof. We have to go back to the real estate agent, if they're still there. We have to go back to the mortgage broker, and we have to send purchase agreements. Not, my real estate agent says that the street sold for, at that time for $450,000. That. I have never argued on costing before. I have never threatened to go to tax court on a costing issue. And that's happening today. So it's easy to quantify and prove sale because that happened last week, but it's very difficult to prove purchase if it happened in 1986, or if you were willed the property in 1986, and you moved into the house and you sell it now. That creates a lot of issues with them because they are not smart enough to go and look at statistics from the area. The another thing that happens with them is that they measure what you make and what you spend in charity. Now, most of us have no issue with that. But if you have a client like I have who has a T4 for $175,000 and donates $1 million to a charity, they give him a receipt for $1 million. They are going to say, where did you get the money to give $1 million? Because you're only making $175,000 a year. So that person has rich parents that live in a house that he bought for them. And it has a wife that doesn't work and makes lots of donations. And what the government does, and he's not a problem with computers or 20 somethings that don't know how to read a statement. This is a net worth issue. So if you do not look like your expenses, if you live in a 3-bedroom house and that you bought for $150,000 50 years ago, and you're donating those millions of dollars to charity, they are going to audit the charity and they're going to audit you because they don't believe that either one of you is telling the truth. And that prompts a very special letter from them. In 30 years of practice, it's only happened once to me. And they send it to everybody that works for you. So if you are running the company, to all of your employees get the same letter. And they send it to the embassies outside of Canada if the charity was outside of Canada. Now, what should that guy have done? Well, he should have gone to an accountant first. We were told them, be careful with $1 million because that's too much money for what you say you're making. And sometimes we would have not made the taxes. We would have said to him, don't send a tax return like this. Split that donation over 5 years. Go under the radar. We teach people to go under the radar, not over the radar. So, it sometimes it looks like it's a self-evident thing, but it's not self-evident. Sometimes. The other thing that people do is investments. If you have $100 in 50,000 places, you are going to have a very difficult tax return. If you have $1 million in one place, you're going to have a very easy tax return. But most people that I've done this year have $500, $600 in a lot of places. So they get 25 5,008. So if you get 25 5,008 with, bought for $200, sold for $300, kind of 5,008, which do not advance your financial state. You're still, poor, to for lack of a better term. Then you have a horrendous tax return to do, and you should never do it yourself because they already have those 5,008 there, and they're going to match. And to do that many 5,008, you're going to get into trouble. We have a partner in my firm that cheats with the government in reporting the 5,008. One of his staff's members adds all of them up by a computer tape. He puts in the tax return 5,008, purchase price this much, cost as much, the total, and he sends it to the governments. And so far they haven't said anything. But I don't have the guts to do that because I live in Ottawa, and in Ottawa is where head office is, and head office has more time than the people in Toronto do, and has co-op students working there who know nothing. Right? I've had to explain, rules of the Tax Act to co-op students who are from Carleton University, who are going to be, accountants 6 years from now. So if you have a problem with them and it's a big problem, stay away from the summer. Stay away from the summer. Give them a date in September. Do whatever you want to do. Stay away from the summer. Tell them that you're away. Tell them that you have a sick aunt in Hungary that you have to go look at. Tell them whatever you want, but tell them stay away from them because they're going to sick these students on you because they're cheap and they're going to run you nuts. And lastly, if you are very sick, tell the government through other means than your tax return, which means send them a disability tax credit form signed by your doctor, because the government does not believe that you need all of those drugs to stay alive. So if you're really sick, and it's affecting your mobility or your thoughts or whatever, go to your doctor and get a disability tax credit, and then tell your doctor that you've been like that for the last 5 years, and you'll backdate it to 5 years ago, and you get several $1,000s from the government. But if you're not really sick, do not fake medical expense. Now there are exceptions, dental expenses are believable because dentists are not covered by the Health Act, up until recently. So dental expenses like bridges, like false teeth, all of that kind of stuff, they're easy to claim because the dentist is claiming it as income, and you can claim it as an expense. But anything else, be careful. Supplements are not a medical expense. And they're good for you. They do wonders for your psychic, but they do not do anything to CRA. They do not captivate their intelligence. So if you have all of these, things that I buy from people who sell, better water for soccer players, or they sell vitamins and things like that, unless they are prescribed by your doctor, do not put them in your tax return. And the reason you don't put them on your tax return is because if they catch you there, they will put a red flag on you for the next 7 years. And for the next 7 years, you'll get letters saying, send us proof of this, send us proof of that. All of those things that are self-evident, they will ask you for because they don't trust you anymore. So it's all right to be untrustworthy as long as you stay below the radar. If you stay above the radar, they'll catch you. So buy those, condiments, buy those additives, buy everything you want to buy to make you feel better, but do not tempt yourself with declaring it as an expense, as a medical expense, unless you've talked to your doctor and he has sent you a prescription. And lastly, what do we do when people like that come to us? Okay, well, the one that prompted this discussion, I forgot the name of the program but it's the one Intuit Rights. She did their taxes with that, The first thing I did is take the letter, call the CRA and say, I'm on holidays until September 17th. I cannot deal with this. That's the first thing I did. And the client said, well, it's going to take that long time. I said, no, it's going to sit here until September 1st. But I'm not talking to these guys in the summertime. The second thing I did is I gave the letter back to the client. It's an 8-page letter. And I said, in your own words, answer as many of these questions as you can by yourself and bring it back to me. Because I don't want to fight a cause that it doesn't need to be fought. And I want to fight with the client's words and not with my words, because my words are going to be more dartful than the client. And I'm going to lose my patience faster than the client is, because the client is afraid. So the most of that letter will be done. I will do the rest, and I will start the first paragraph of that letter saying, you should employ people who know Canadian geography and know the difference between the Niagara region and the Ottawa area. That's how I'm going to start. That's already in the draft. Now, am I going to get enemies for that? No, because their bosses are going to say, we should be careful with the people we get as co-op students, and we should not be assuming that they know Canadian geography. But the next step that letter will prompt is, after she sends the thing, if they ask one question on it, I threaten to go to tax court. And I say, when I go to tax court, I say to CRA, we cannot discuss this between you and I. We cannot see face to face what is wrong here. Let a judge discuss it. Then 20-somethings lose the file and it goes to an older person, and the older person then calls me and says, what is the problem? And then I discuss the problem with them, and then they might revisit, and they might assign it to somebody who's an expert in the area. But what the taxpayer is getting today is the lowest common denominator, and are people who don't know. A, they might not even be speaking English or French. 2, they might not know the tax act. 3, they might not know the tax act of their own country where they come from. So that's who we're getting today. And I feel sorry for some of my clients, because that's the people that they have to deal with before they come here. And I have lots of clients who are corporate clients who do their taxes, and now we have the rule say you can do your own taxes, but you have to give them to us by the end of May, because we want to make sure that you look like your corporation. We want to make sure that you look, that the picture that you send the government of your face, of Jacqueline's face, looks like Jacqueline's corporation. That Jacqueline is not poor in a very rich company, or is very rich in a very poor company. That's what we do. And that's why we charge what we charge. Any questions?
Well, Eric, so if you have a complicated life, you have extraordinary reserves, but you don't have a income to match it or a profile,
Yep.
go talk to you first before you start pushing large amounts of cash around. That
Yep.
way you don't, and stay below the radar. Keep your head below the grade. Okay.
Yes.
And wear a bulletproof vest, or have Eric wear that vest for you.
Well, you should look for a qualified person to do this. And there are things in taxation that you have to be careful about. One of them is real estate. You cannot have, but the government allows you to have real estate losses over time, but when it comes and time to sell the building that you are that you're losing money at, they will say to you, okay, you have to repay back those losses. because in fact the building was more than you accounted for. And never, ever, ever depreciate real estate. Never, ever depreciate real estate unless you live in a war zone area. Unless you live in South Sudan or Eastern Ukraine or Iran, where your real estate values go down, you can depreciate, and you know ahead of time that they're going to go down, depreciate your real estate. But if you live anywhere in the world, and you have probably anywhere in the world, do not depreciate real estate. And do not assume, yes,
Go ahead, Kelly.
Kelly?
Hi, sorry, Eric. I just had a quick question regarding you were saying CRA cannot trace the actual ownership. Do they
And
not have access to the MPAC or the land registry system?
it depends on how far back it is, and it depends on how you got to be owner of that property. If your parents willed you their house, let's say in 1980, so if your parents willed their house in 1980, you did not have a sales agreement in 1980.
Right.
You just had a will that said, our house is for my daughter, right? And you may have done a capital gains declaration then, but that was prior to 1992 or 1991 when the new capital gains rules came in. So they don't have that much history on that, and the cost gets lost over time for what you paid for the house.
That makes
And-
sense. So
and-
whenever I'm doing transactions, I'm guiding my clients to keep our documentation in perpetuity, just in case of a historical audit.
Especially if you are selling commercial properties.
Yes.
But if you're selling, and by commercial properties, you're selling houses to people who want to sell the house as a purpose in life, right? There are two kinds of people: people who
Mhm.
buy a house because they want to live in it, and
Mhm.
people who want to buy a house because they want to invest and make money on it. So you have to know the difference between those two customers that you have,
Mhm.
because the one who wants to buy it and keep it and have the kids grow up in it and all that kind of stuff, that is easier to deal with than the people who want to flip it every 3 years.
Right. So for my investor clients, I'm telling them
Yeah.
to keep their documentation for as long as they're alive and then stick it in their safe after
Yeah.
they're dead.
Wouldn't you just leave that with the lawyer? I mean, assuming you don't flip lawyers on a regular basis.
People
Well,
do them.
don't assume that anybody else has that.
Okay.
Right. Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.
And
Shane has
lawyers,
Shane
they will retire and stuff, and so they don't
Shane
always
has
have.
Shane has a question. If your parent has one property and wills it to you, is it still, hang on, I'm getting rid of
Is it still capital gains?
is it still capital gains?
No, if the property was a personal residence for your parents, no,
Yeah.
there's no capital gains because there's no capital gains on disposition of personal property. But if you inherit the property and you do not live in it, you rent
Oh,
it to someone else, then
okay.
you have to send the capital gains form to the government at that time. If you don't send it at that time, we're going to get into costing issues later on when you sell it.
Right.
And that happens quite often. Quite often that happens. Your parents could be living in Saskatoon, right? And your last parent died, last month, and there's an empty house in Saskatoon. So when that goes into an estate, it is tax free because it was a personal residence. Even if they were in a nursing home, nursing home is looked upon as being a hotel from a tax perspective.
Okay.
Okay, you keep the address where it was, but he or she was in a nursing home. When they pass away, that house goes into an estate. If it hasn't gone through probate, it goes to an estate, and you have you put it on the estate at the value of the house today, not what your father or mother paid for it in 1972. the value of today. And for that, you might need Kelly to give you an
I was
idea,
just gonna say, call me
Yeah.
for valuations.
to give you an idea of what, houses in that area sold for.
Yeah. And so whenever Shane had another question and he says, what happens if there's a cottage rented only on some weekends? From what I'm hearing you say, Eric, it's the same philosophy where if you're using your inheritance and still generating revenue, that still qualifies as capital gains, regardless of whether it's a cottage or a residential home.
The moment you inherit a cottage, you're getting into the capital gains regiment.
It's not a primary residence. That's
Well,
why.
it was for your parents anyways, but your parents had it for so long that the government lost track of them, and they never sent anything. So it was just a cottage, and they never bought or sold anything for the cottage, so it stayed a cottage. So the problem is they should have dealt with that before they passed, through their will, through their valuations, through things like that, to cost it properly, so that when the person inherits the cottage, they have a true value attached to it.
So are you saying then that an executor of a will should have this as part of the boxes to check off of things to do?
Yes, because the executor is responsible for the taxes if they don't get collected on time.
Maybe we should have an executor do a guest talk because this is a subject that we're all interested in and we can all plan for collaboratively. Our mortgage agent, real estate agent, accountant, all of us can contribute and benefit to help improve our clients' experiences.
Yes. I have 3 files going on with executors right now. They all look like people who have aged 25 years in the last 6 months.
Oh,
Do not become an executor unless it's a relative that you know quite well, because you don't know what comes out of the woodwork after the person passes.
Yeah.
But there
And
must be someone to be able to provide a blueprint for, I mean, I want to prepare for my passing in the least harmful way for my successors as possible. So what would that blueprint look like? Where do we access that and how do we prepare?
Well, you would first of all, you would keep paper proof of what you are doing. You would have a great will. You will go to a lawyer to make a discussion on how you're going to pass it on. You might have to set up a trust before you pass and put the stuff in the trust. If you have more than one property, you should be doing that anyways.
go ahead, Sam.
Sam.
The advice I've been given, and I'll pass along to you, Kelly, if you want the simplest method to pass along your investments or whatever in your lifetime, sell them all the day before you die.
Yes.
Very good. So then we'll need Tony to help us establish that timeline because we don't have access to that.
No, I only have the timeline after that. I can
Oh.
connect to them after.
When
So you're looking for the Grim Reaper.
When I first started practice, I used to have a sign behind me in my office that said, "Our goal is to make you live like a king or a queen, but die like a pauper."
That's cute.
But I took it off because it's too morbid. My wife was bugging me about taking it off. Anyways, any other questions?
Oh, Eric, I'm sure there will be later on. So, folks, you know what?
We're always
If you have that question, reach out to Eric. He's out there. He's a world of wisdom. Now you know not to hold on to stuff. And if you have disproportionate funds somewhere sitting, and you're looking, if you gotta always know where the money's coming from, right? Otherwise, I think you're
Right.
coming out of one of the nefarious parts of the universe.
Yes, and the underlying message that I'm telling people today is, if you get a letter like that, come to us or go to whoever you're dealing with and tell them to postpone everything till September. Get away from reporting in the summer.
Yep.
And if lie, say, I am traveling, I am redoing my house, I am doing this, I have the painters in my house and I cannot get access to my stuff for 6 weeks. Lie to them, but stay away from the summer.
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right, closing quote. Your future depends on how you handle destiny. There we go. Hey, we have alignment. That quote was picked about 3 weeks ago. So, like, hey, Eric,